Did you know that in this video we will have an exclusive conversation with Nic Zapko about her experience, comments, and funny things that happened while deaf interpreting for the governor? Some people have seen Nic interpreting on TV.
We cannot have the looting and the recklessness that went on.
And they're flabbergasted she is deaf and interpreting. How, you ask? Well, maybe you think she's getting by lip reading off to the side, or maybe you think she's hard of hearing and can hear a little bit if she stands close enough, or reading captions or a script in advance. How it actually works is while a hearing person speaks, a hearing interpreter is sitting in the audience listening to the words they're speaking and is signing to the deaf interpreter, who is watching them, while creating a beautifully expressive, strong ASL message in a clear visual way. Now come on, let's meet Nic Zapko. You may have seen Nic interpreting on TV for the governor of Minnesota, Governor Walz. So how did you become a deaf interpreter? Really, I've always felt it's a part of me. Growing up as a deaf consumer and seeing what interpreters can provide has always left me feeling a little kind of uneasy. So once deaf interpreting became established and I realized I could be a deaf interpreter, being able to engage and interact with other deaf consumers, it lit a spark within me. I'm also a performer and I enjoy being able to inspire people from the stage. I felt like that, blended with deaf interpreting, was a perfect match for my passion. I'd be able to empathize and understand other deaf consumers' needs, culture, and language because growing up as a deaf consumer myself, I struggled. Did Governor Walz's team contact you, or how did they pick you to interpret for them? The state worked with Minnesota Commission of the Deaf, Deafblind, Hard of Hearing, MCDHH, and Keystone Interpreting Services, KISS, on the onset of COVID-19 last March. KISS and MCDHH were very supportive in explaining and encouraging to the state the use of a deaf interpreter because it's important to have access to language. The state accepted it pretty easily, and that was amazing. So from there, things progressed rapidly. Platform interpreting is very different than community one-on-one interpreting. When I'm community interpreting, I'm able to work more closely with my team to fit that exact consumer's needs. Platform interpreting, however, it's go, 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 go. The speakers don't wait for us in our interpreting process. So while they're presenting, we just have to be working very closely as a team to be able to move rapidly and make the message very clear to a variety of audience members. I remember the first time I interpreted for the governor, my heart was racing because I didn't know what to expect. The other interpreter was sick, so they called me as a substitute. Oh, I was nervous. I got there and it was quite an adjustment, but a really good experience that I grew a lot from. That gave me a taste of what to expect. So from there, I got connected in workshops, was doing homework, studying current events, and watching the news regularly, so when they called me, I was better informed. The more I knew, the easier it became. So since interpreting at this level, have you received any feedback from the deaf community or people in general? Oh yes, definitely. People have contacted me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and email. People now are understanding that having ASL accessible is very important. The hearing community thought for a while that captions were sufficient, but are now realizing that you can't rely on them solely. They're still in English, and they're usually quite delayed and have typos as well. So people who hear never really noticed this until now that it's been explained to them, and now they agree. So it's been a thrill to see deaf people having immediate access to news that's equitable to hearing people. Hearing people have really been inspired by this. Have you received any negative comments from the deaf community or people in general? Not from the deaf community, no. No, they've been thrilled. They feel like, yes! And this has really opened a door for the general population of the world to see this. And we've always fought for this. But many people only see 2 physical interpreters as opposed to 1, and they just don't understand the benefit. But I feel this has really shown a spotlight on the importance of using deaf interpreters. But within the hearing community, however, yes, there's been some negative feedback, mainly about my expressions. I believe that's due to a lack of knowledge. Some of them believe I'm stealing the show with my expressions, but I don't get offended by it. I just see it as an opportunity to explain and educate the importance of expression. It's the same as how spoken languages have tonal inflections. ASL has tonal inflections on the face as well. So I'm wondering, as we know, you have a team interpreter. Do you always have the same interpreter? Well, I do request the same team interpreter if possible, Patty. If she's unavailable, then we do have some backups. But Patty and I have a really good connection. The other teams, they still need to be developed some. It would be nice to have backups ready, for sure. I'm wondering, through your experience interpreting for the governor, do you have any funny moments to share? I do, in fact. As you know, I'm short. Hashtag short problems. So I showed up to interpret in a very large venue. When the speaker got up behind the podium, they realized with me standing on the floor that there was a great height discrepancy. So as a quick fix solution, they grabbed a recycling bin nearby and placed it on the floor for me to stand upon. Well, the problem was, while standing on it, and from my natural movement of signing, it was causing the recycle bin to squeak and make noises. So they grabbed paper to fill in the bin, hoping that would help, but it really didn't. So I had to stand completely frozen from the waist down, and my legs were entirely numb. It was very difficult, and this went on for quite some time, like an hour of interpreting almost. But I wouldn't let the message be sacrificed, and I kept making it very visual and giving my best work, all the while not moving my lower half. When it was finished, my legs were so numb. So this went on for a few more times of interpreting until the person that is in charge of the room, they noticed this and they decided they needed to make a new podium for me. And what a relief that was. So that's probably my favorite story. Wow. I'm wondering if other deaf students or people are interested in becoming a deaf interpreter, what would you recommend their next steps be? I would say study the language of ASL. With your own language of ASL, there are specific rules and grammar that you should be aware of. From there are different classes and webinars that you can participate in. If you see interpreting classes that are being offered, don't think they're limited only to hearing interpreters. The process of interpreting for deaf and hearing interpreters is the same, it's just the main difference is the language. So you need to be assertive and take classes and learn more. RID provides 40 hours of training to become a deaf interpreter, and then there's both the written and performance pieces for certification. So I'd recommend keep learning your own language because that's the best way to excel. Keep socializing, practicing, and playing with the language.